if you don't mind. 2 Corinthians chapter 12. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, it probably, for anybody who suffered at all for any length of time, it is probably the most famous portion of Scripture. If you look here in 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse number 9. James, is that David? Is it David? Praise God, David. Man, it's good to see you. All right. He was there that day that I stopped by. Dave, good to see you, man. And 2 Corinthians chapter 12, look at it. It is not expedient for me, doubtless, to glory. We're going to read here, so let's just take a little bit of our time. I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord. I knew a man in Christ above 14 years ago, whether in the body I cannot tell, or whether out of the body I cannot tell. God knoweth. Such an one caught up to the third heaven, and I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body I cannot tell, God knoweth, how that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which is not lawful for a man to utter. Of such a one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in my infirmities. For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth. But now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations. There was given to me a thorn in the flesh. I want you to underline that if you're accustomed to doing so. There was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. Paul has just returned from a trip. The trip took him to the third heaven. It took him past this heaven that we see. It took him past the heaven of the outer space that we can see with a telescope. And it took him to that third heaven. It took him to that place where the Lord abides. And he saw things that were incredible. He heard things that were incredible. Now, if you just kind of stay with me for the first 5 minutes, we're going to get right into the sermon. He heard things and saw things that truly he couldn't put into words, he couldn't describe, and at some point, he had to stop talking about what he saw so that people would not put the focus on him, and that he knew, I got to stop talking about what I saw. The first subject that you'll find here in the verses is the fact of what he saw in the heavenlies. The second subject is when he came back down from the heavenlies, that the next couple of verses tell us that God gave him a thorn. Now that's very important for you to understand that. God gave him a thorn. God took him to the heavenlies, did something great. God then comes and says, second subject, I'm going to give you a thorn. Then the third subject that we cover, he said, now I'm going to give you grace. Now please, when your pastor talks of a thorn, I'm talking about irritations maybe, I'm talking about discomfort maybe, and we all experience little times of discomfort, little seasons to where things don't go our way. I'm not talking about those months you couldn't make your bills, and I'm not talking about those months or those weeks that maybe things weren't right in relationships. I'm literally talking about a thorn that came to you, and it has stayed with you, and it has made your life a little bit unbearable. Every Christian has those types of situations. And young people, please listen to me. That's why you better learn a God in your youth. That way, when you get your thorn, you won't forsake the God of your youth and turn to drinking. That's why it's very important that those buses that we run, that we keep running them, and we keep reaching out, and we keep knocking doors, and we keep praying, God, please lead somebody across my path. Because listen to me, there are a lot of people that when they get their thorn, and God says, this is your thorn, that they say, fine, if this is my thorn, I'm not going to be able to handle it, and let's not be that way. Young people, learn God now. But the thorn that you and I have, and the thorn that maybe pricks us, and it's inside of us, and every time we move, we're just not quite sure what is going on. Why is it going? Paul asked God 3 times, God, would you take this thorn away? And God said 3 times, no, I'm not taking the thorn away. Your thorns are different than my thorns. The things that bother me are not what bothers you. My thorns today may be complicated because of my faith. Your thorns today may be complicated because of your outlook on God. But everybody sitting here of any length of time living, and isn't it sad, can I just stop and say this, isn't it sad that our young people are losing their innocence earlier and earlier and earlier, and they're having to wake up to just how rotten this world is? And that's sad. You want to know why? Because adults are not handling their thorns the way they need to handle their thorns. And this morning I'm preaching on this subject, the thorn, the grace. The thorn, the grace. And I want to give you several things. I'm going to show you an illustration if I could. First of all, I want to tell you this. You and I need a thorn to keep us humble and touchable. Please listen, I'm about to tell you. You and I need thorns to keep us humble and to keep us touchable. Those who have no problems are the elite crowd, they think. But you listen to me. When you and I wear the thorn, then you and I become humble and we become touchable. Paul said this. Paul said, immediately when I came back from the heavenlies, I was given a thorn because I knew that I could not boast in who I am. And please don't look at your thorns today and think to yourself, oh my goodness, I truly am a second-class citizen. Oh no, God knows how. And I wrote a term up here, and I know that Kelly would kind of disagree with me on the word I'm going to use, and I'm going to use RG just a little bit if you don't mind. The word embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed about RG, and nobody, I'm not embarrassed about my son. I think when I use the word embarrassed, what I'm trying to say is I'm not ashamed of him. I'm not ashamed of him at all. But there is that little part of you that when you've got that thorn and you're walking out in public, you're not quite sure what other people think about your thorn. You're not quite sure what's going on, but you listen to me. God gives you those thorns, Miss Templeton, for God says, I need to keep you a little bit touchable and a little bit humble. How many times we meet people that don't touch me, don't talk to me, I'm going to float above mankind and I'm too good for everybody. The church world is tired of elitists that are in the pulpit, and they're tired of church people who are too good to touch common humanity out here. You and I are made of flesh and bones, and you and I have got our thorns. Listen to me, that's what makes you and I touchable, and that's what keeps us humble. About the time maybe that would boast that my son can, I've got to remember my son can't. What is your thorn? What is it that God has brought your way that you're sitting here going, man, I don't like this. Oh, please listen to me. It's what's going to keep you humble, and it's what's going to keep you touchable. Listen to me. People with thorns never run out of friends. People with thorns never run out of people to say, hey, I'm praying for you. Rich people don't need your $5. A thorn guy, though, needs your prayers. And I tell you, listen to me, you meet somebody who is very humble and you meet somebody who's very touchable, you trace it back, and I promise you, somewhere they have their own set of thorns and you don't even know it. Your thorn, my friend, is what makes you walk lowly. It's what makes you stop and take time for people. It's what makes you who you are. And I think there's a lot of teenagers and a lot of college students in this room that maybe your home life is not what it needs to be. I'm thinking about a couple of our families who are caretaking for those who can't care for themselves, and they're going to grow up. And can I tell you something, dear families? You better preach to them the gospel of thorns to let them know God has allowed this in your life to keep you humble and keep you touchable so you can help somebody else. That's what the thorns do. It's not the sermon, but the second thing I want to tell you, not so you can take notes, but you can put in your heart and your mind, thorns are a sign of greatness. Paul went to the heavenlies, and then he came back down, and he was given a thorn. When you meet somebody with something going on in their life, and you step back and you go, oh my soul, don't look at people that carry around a thorn and carry around a problem. Maybe it's a family problem, maybe it's a financial problem, maybe it's a marriage problem. Don't ever look at them and think to yourself, oh, they must be terrible people. No. They must be great people. Because God never entrusts a thorn to people unless he was sure, listen to this, that they could carry it with a whole lot of grace. He said, my grace is sufficient. He said, I'm going to give you your thorn, but I'm going to give you the container to carry your thorn through life. That way people see the brightness of who you are, not the pain of what you go through. Some of you are sitting here right now, and guess what? You're all about the thorn rather than being all about the grace that's available to you to carry the thorn. You know, isn't it crazy when you meet somebody and if I could get you just to envision, if I could make this RG, if you will, and people are sometimes somewhat amazed. I'm not the poster child for this because I have more bad days than I do good, I think. But as I'm walking through life and I'm trying to carry my thorn in the best popular color and the bright color of grace, and I'm trying to be noticed, and I'm trying to walk through life, and I'm walking through and say, hey, how you doing? Doing fine. My name's Bob Gray. Really? Well, what are you up to? Well, you know, let me set my brightness down, and hey, how you doing? I said, wow, you're just so touchable, and man, good night. I can talk to you easy. I wonder how come it is that way. You want to know why? Because I have chosen as a Christian to take my grace, my thorn, and carry it with the brightest color grace I can find. That way the focus is not on woe is me. The focus is on how great he is. Do you know why some people don't like to be around people with thorns? Because listen to me, their thorn, if you get too close, is always poking somebody else. Who has heard that story 1,000 times? Not the story, but your attitude about the story. Who knows your plight, but they kind of don't want to be around you? Well, I just don't have any friends. I don't understand why nobody likes me. It's because your focus is the thorn. And people are tired of getting stuck by your thorn. I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry you're going through that. I'm sorry that you had to experience that. But you listen to me. Stop walking around like somebody died or something happened. Listen to me. Death may come to a relationship and death may come, but you listen to me very closely. That thorn was meant to be carried in that grace, and it is the grace that makes him look good. Not the thorn. And Paul said, man, I asked the Lord 3 times, would you take it away? Take it away. And God said, no. I'm not taking it away. I'm going to give you the grace to carry your thorn. I'm going to ask you a question. What do people see first in your life? The grace or the thorn? I was preaching somewhere the other day, and I was talking to this man and this wife. Beautiful couple, great couple. They were in the service both nights of the revival, and so they were kind couple, great couple. And I was like, I walked up to them and said, man, you're probably the sharpest couple I've ever seen in my life. They were probably in their early 50s, and I was just impressed with them. And I said, you know, I get to preach somewhat, and I get to meet a lot of people, but there's something glowing about y'all. And I know you're saved. I know all that. And she was very kind, and he was very kind, and so I was like, wow. So I asked the pastor. I said, man, who is that couple? And are they always that happy? He said, Brother Gray, they are always that happy. That's not a put on. When I get up to preach, they're just like beaming from ear to ear. I was like, really? Man, and then I made the mistake of saying this, they must have it made. And he said, no. They have 4 children. All of them are serving a life sentence right now. Like they're never getting out. He said, like they're never getting out. I said, you could finish it, right? You would never know it. Can I ask you something? What are you carrying right now that you're like, it's never going to leave? It's a black cloud over my head. Oh, my friend, pack it in the biggest, brightest grace you can find and walk around because you let that trumpet sound. This is done. Let that trumpet sound. We're out of here. I mean, we're gone. Do you know? No more hospitals, no more doctors, no more needles, no more IVs, no more wheelchairs, no more hospital beds, no more cancer, no more jaundice, no more surgeries. We're gone. And until then, God doesn't want your thorn to be bothering everybody around you. He wants your grace to be loving everybody around you. Mrs. Zapata has her last treatment. I've been so proud about that. I've been telling everybody. Now it's on CD permanently. She has her last treatment coming up. 33 that you've had? 33 treatments. 33 treatments. But could we all testify to this? That this is not how she came to church? That she kind of got up every service and said, honey, get the bright green one today because it matches my outfit. Honey, get that bright pink one because it matches my shoes. Honey, if you'll pull down, and by the way, honey, you wear the pink one also. Hey, can I tell you something? You got the thorn, cry about it. I don't like it. But before you go out and meet a lost humanity that their biggest thorn is they're going to die and go to hell, pack it with the grace of God and just say, I am going to try to get this on. I am going to be the brightest thorn bearer ever. You know what the world needs? They need this. They need this. That's what they need. Mrs. Sosa, I'll end with this. Mrs. Sosa has been sick for a while now. And I asked her last week when I was praying with her, I said, Miss Sosa, you've truly been sick for a while, haven't you? And she said, I have been. And I said, you know what? You never really would have known it. Because you came to church and sat in that balcony and smiled and loved life. That's what this world needs. It doesn't need a sour you. It needs a bright you. And when you and I plug into that grace, 2 things and I'm done. Where do I get such a container? Some of you honestly are sitting here right now and you're thinking, I know this. Where do I get one of those containers? So could you tell me, where do I get one of those that I can handle life? Number 1, salvation. Salvation. You don't need the box for the box. Guess what? You need salvation. And if you're sitting here today and you're saying, I gave church one last shot this morning and then I'm done. I don't even know how to handle this. Yeah, you do. And I'm going to tell you, salvation. Because no matter what you're going through that is a thorn, listen to me, I know the God who created the thorns, guess what? He has the grace. The grace, first of all, wants to get you saved. You say, where do I get that grace? Are you ready? By hanging around grace. Don't hang around people that are all about the thorns. Find you somebody that carries grace and then hang around them. Hang around them. When RG was first born, we learned real quickly that there are two types of parents who have special needs children. Are you ready? First set are those who gripe all the time. Gripe all the time. And you know what? They don't have happy kids. But then there are those who package it like this, and they're like, it's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. Have I told you about RG's girlfriend in California? And his girlfriend in South Dakota, and his girlfriend in Wyoming, and Natalie, don't get too close, sister. You'll be married by nightfall. He has girlfriends everywhere. Don't be laughing, because you know it's true. He's got girlfriends everywhere. Well, his one friend, and I'll end with this. Oh yeah, I'm right on time. His one friend, Courtney's mom and dad are just incredible people. And they live in California. And so we kind of hooked up through some mutual friends at a surgery that RG was having, a major surgery in Dallas. And we were sitting there, and our friends in Dallas that have a special, going through the same exact thing, she said, you need to meet my friends from California, because your son looks just like their daughter, and their daughter looks just like your son, and I bet you all would have a lot in common. Now, are you ready? So, I'm preaching in California, and we decided to make a vacation out of it to go see Courtney and her family. Well, it happened to be on July 4th, right? That was a holiday, July 4th. Well, Courtney's mother is crazy. She's like this, glowing. That's her mother. She convinced us to go in a parade on July 4th. And her big thing was, whoop, whoop, let's hear for the boys. Here's your pastor sitting on the sideline, and she's like, there's about 5 or 6 special needs, right? They're all lined up there. And should I do this in church? She's sitting there going, whoop, whoop, let's hear for the boys. And she's starting to, and I'm sitting there going, Kelly, what do we do? I'm a preacher. I don't think I can whoop, whoop, let's hear for, I don't think it works that way. And she is like, and RG's like, whoop, whoop. I was like, RG, we kind of can't. Now, I would say they are great people. Every once in a while, they'll listen to the podcast, and I'm really hoping that they're going to listen to this one. They are great people. But I'll tell you why we like being around them is because they are not taking their thorn and making it miserable on everybody around them. They've decided to take their thorn and make it as bright as they can make it. Oh, please listen to me. You don't have your RG, he's ours. But I can tell you this, I want to be the kind of dad, husband, pastor, Christian that when I walk through this life, you would have to ask me about my thorns, because you're going to see a happy person. Grace is sufficient. You say, oh, this thorn. Oh, no, the grace. Get to Jesus. Hang around people. And what you're going to find out is everything's going to be okay. I say thank you to Pancho Vasquez. Pancho and Connie had Frankie for all those years. And Pancho, because you interact, he knows how to get the most out of RG. You know how to get the most out of RG. Because you've never made RG a thorn in this church. Guess what you've always made him? Grace. Isn't that what we want our kids to be? Isn't that what we want our kids to know? No matter how tough life gets for you, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. Let's just go down and get us a good old bright box of grace. So here's how this is going to work. If you're having a bad day and you don't want anybody to talk to you, get you a bright box and just smile. When you're carrying that bright box, well, no, boy, they got a big thorn. And when you open it up, your husband's head will pop out right there. Oh, I'm sorry. Mother-in-law. And the thorn, the grace. Heavenly Father,